Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to discuss the cultural and business differences in the United Kingdom and the United States. As many of you know, our company has an office in the United Kingdom and has been considering opening more offices over there. However, one of our downfalls has been that our offices in the United States do not know some of the basic differences of how business is done in the United Kingdom. It is these differences we want to help you understand so we can communicate more effectively with our offices in the United Kingdom and help our company to continue to flourish and grow. Why we would want to do business in the United Kingdom. One of the most important reasons is that the United Kingdom has one of the fastest growing economies. In addition, they have a leading role in the trade and financial sectors of Europe. Although the United States and the United Kingdom had some rough times in the early years, after 1815, the United States has had no closer ally than the United Kingdom. As seen in this chart put together by the United States Census Bureau, the United Kingdom is one of the largest markets for the United States goods exports. Not only that, but they are also one of the largest suppliers for goods imports. So, I guess the real question is, why wouldn't we want to do business with the United Kingdom? Over the next several slides, we will go over some of the basic differences between us and the United Kingdom, so our company can focus on keeping communications open between the two cultures. First, we will look at contextual differences. I know many of you are not really sure what we mean by contextual differences, but contextual differences is defined in business communication today by Bovey and Thill as a pattern of physical cues, environmental stimuli, and implicit understanding that conveys meaning between two members of the same culture. A person who is from a high context culture does not rely on the context of nonverbal signs and environmental settings in order to convey meaning. A person in a low contextual culture tends to rely more on verbal communication and less on circumstances and cues to convey the meaning. Brian Neese demonstrates in this table that the English are more towards the low end of the contextual cultures. However, America is even lower. Even though it is not much lower, it is still lower, which means we still have contextual differences. We need to remember that people from Great Britain rarely communicate in a direct manner. Since most of us are from the United States, we tend to be straightforward. Pretty much we say what we mean and we mean what we say. Our words and our body language seldom contradict each other. When we are doing business with our colleagues in the United Kingdom, there are a few things as demonstrated in the business communication today we need to remember. Pay attention to the tone of their voice as well as the message being spoken. Consider not only what is being said, but what is not being said. Watch their facial expressions and hand gestures. What are they telling us? Most importantly, remember eye contact. This conveys both sincerity and honesty. I feel that since our company handles a lot of legal documents and contracts, it is important to go over some of the legal and ethical differences between the United States and the United Kingdom. As you know, how a culture handles a business contract is an indication of what their legal and ethical differences are. The United Kingdom prefers detailed contracts, which include not only short-term details, but also long-term details. They will even insist on stipulating that a contract is subject to British law. The negotiation phase often ends with an oral agreement before the written contract is drawn up and signed. Just be aware, even though there is a verbal agreement, it is not binding until both sides have signed the contract. The fact that the United Kingdom prefers details is really not a problem for us because here in the United States, we like a lot of details also. We like everything to be very detailed and specific. On top of that, we like to have an attorney present to make sure we don't miss anything in having a contract written up. Just a few small things to remember when you are working with your colleagues from the United Kingdom to negotiate a contract. Actively seek mutual ground. Remember to be flexible. Learn to trust your colleagues. Be honest, show respect for any cultural differences, and acknowledge the needs of your colleagues. Another thing to remember as a company that is dealing with more than one culture is that there are many social differences. Today, we are only going to cover 6 of those social differences: accents, how they view themselves, meetings, presentations, reading someone, and what to wear or not wear. Most of us in this room are from North Carolina. If there is something we know a lot about, it is accents. Every day we are exposed to someone who adds three extra syllables to a one-syllable word, or who can take a 3-syllable word and say it in 1 syllable. It is crazy. The United Kingdom is very similar. Have you ever talked to anyone from Ireland? When they talk, you don't even realize they are talking English. I guess the same can be said for people from North Carolina, especially certain areas. Anyway, there are many different accents throughout the United Kingdom, and just like in the United States, these accents can actually indicate their geographical origin, education, and even their class. Keep this in mind as you speak to your colleagues. Lisa Gratz explained that throughout the United Kingdom, people view themselves as civilized, well-mannered, and well-educated. They tend to be understated, cool, detached, hard to read, and very class-conscious. In every business, there are meetings. Since our company has meetings with people from different cultures, we need to remember there may be a few differences. In the United Kingdom, they like facts. They are also quite formal and will tolerate some small talk, but are not as accepting of small talk as Americans are. When doing business with your colleagues in the United Kingdom, keep the small talk to a minimum. Keep it as formal as possible so they understand how important the meeting is to you. And remember that having a sense of humor is still a great way to spark an interest. Working with people with different cultures means we need to try a little harder to read the person. Remember earlier when I said that people from Great Britain rarely communicate in a direct manner? This means we need to learn how to read them. People from Great Britain are very hard to read. They believe that showing all their cards is a sign of weakness. So you need to learn to watch their gestures and expressions in order to see what they are saying is what they mean. There are still times when they make you think they are in full agreement with you, and they are not. When was the last time you went to the grocery store and saw someone wearing their pajamas to the grocery store? Although I don't know how many of you have actually worn pajamas to the grocery store, but many of us have seen someone do just that. In the United States, there are many that wear sweatpants, flip-flops, wrinkled clothing, or even baseball caps to work or even out on the town. In the United Kingdom, this type of dress is considered very disrespectful. So as employees of Crystal Palace Housing, it is a good idea to make it a practice to dress business casual as shown in the picture on the slide. By now, it has become quite apparent that the United Kingdom definitely has some nonverbal differences as compared to the United States. Nonverbal communication can be very helpful in determining meaning of a message. However, we need to remember that if that is going to work, the sender and the receiver both need to have the same meaning for the nonverbal signals. We definitely don't want to make the mistake of using a gesture that means good luck in Brazil in Colombia, where that same gesture is like giving someone the finger. There are 3 types of nonverbal differences we are going to go over today. greetings, personal space, and formality. In the United Kingdom, it is considered polite to shake hands with someone when first meeting them. In addition, it is also important to make direct eye contact with your colleague. Lucky for us, this is actually something we also do in the United States. So keep up the good work. This will help show our colleagues we respect them. Marina Cavaliera explains in Doing Business in the United Kingdom that people in the United Kingdom value their personal space. Guess what? Most people in the United States also value their personal space. So remember to keep a reasonable distance from each other. No one feels uncomfortable. Formality is where we need to really step up our game when working with our colleagues from the United Kingdom. We know they are quite formal and find politeness very important. It would be good for us to be a little more formal when we are working with them. Gender roles in business has been something many of us have discussed over and over again. Gender bias is still around today, even though our grandmothers and our mothers fought hard to make the changes. However, it has improved since our grandmother's day. The ratios of men and women in entry-level professional jobs is fairly equal. The share of management roles held by men and women in entry-level professional positions is mostly equal. The problem is that the share of management roles held by men increases steadily the further up the corporate ladder you go. This is a problem not only in the United Kingdom, but also in the United States. The United Kingdom is still very much a man's world, and women have a long way to go before gender equality can be reached. Our United States office is very lucky to have Jackie working with us. She is deaf and accomplishes just as much as any of us. That being said, we need to realize there are many different ability differences which exist in all cultures and can include impaired vision, hearing, and even cognitive and physical abilities. Bovey and Thill explain in Business Communication Today that employers can invest in assistive technology which can help people with disabilities perform activities which may be difficult or even impossible for them under normal circumstances. These technologies include both devices and entire systems which help workers communicate both orally and visually. In addition, they help workers interact with computers and other equipment. Not only that, but workers are able to enjoy greater mobility in the workplace and have more opportunities to pursue a greater range of career paths. This chart by the United States Department of Labor describes how many people in the United States have disabilities and what disabilities they have. At Crystal Palace Housing, we plan to stay up to date on the latest initiatives and technologies for our employees with disabilities. In conclusion, Crystal Palace Housing has the potential to continue to grow in the housing community in both the United Kingdom and the United States. However, as a company, we cannot get too secure in the fact that both of these countries have very similar roots and are very similar in a lot of ways. We have to pay close attention to the differences within the two countries in order to make sure we keep our focus, so we can continue to improve our company and help it grow. Some recommendations I would suggest are: show respect for cultural differences. Consider not only what is being said, but what is not being said. Remember eye contact. It shows sincerity and honesty. Dress professionally and respect personal space. Thank you everyone for your time. If you need further information or if you have other recommendations, please email me or call me. I also wanted to thank Stephanie Howard for assisting with the research for this project and Bailey McClellan for proofreading and advising on this report.